I'm Heather Darden, and this is a 1 hour yin practice. So, yin is done without warming up, so it doesn't matter whether you are warmed up or not. This practice is really for engaging with yourself, knowing your inner self, and breathing into that self. Each posture will be held for about 3 minutes. And it does help to have some props available and some water available as well. I've got my water right here. Props you might want to have on hand. I would say 1 or 2 of these, especially if you know you are tight in the hamstrings or tight in the lower back. A bolster, vaguely this shape. It's really firm, so it's not mushy like a pillow. If you do not have a bolster or a Mexican blanket like this, you can use pillows and blankets from your house. You may also want a block. One of these yoga blocks works great. If you don't have one of these, a really thick hardback book is a nice alternative. So go gather your props and rejoin me in a moment. So my hips are tight. So instead of just staying here in an easy seated pose, I'm going to do an easy seated pose on the bolster. So the bolster is now underneath my sitting bones, also known as your ischial tuberosities, allowing my pelvis to open up a little bit and tilt forward. This makes it a little easier on my back and on my knees and on my hips. So do what feels best for you. If you don't have a bolster, you can also do this on a rolled up yoga mat or on a folded blanket. Just do it with the folded edge facing toward you so that you don't feel any weird wrinkles. Once you're here, just take a moment. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, close your eyes. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then just let your eyelids be heavy and maybe let your eyes relax and go out of focus. And bring your awareness to your breath. Notice things like the temperature of the breath as it moves in and out of your nostrils. The pace of your breath. There's no right or wrong, there's just whatever you find here. How does this breath feel to you? Are there any emotions, thoughts, memories associated with this breath? What's coming up for you as you sit still and breathe? Leaving some awareness on your breath, take a moment and notice your body. Take some time to scan your body from the crown of your head all the way out through your feet. As you scan, notice places that feel open and ready, as well as places that feel like they need your attention. continuing to stay aware of your physical body and your breath. Can you feel the flow of energy in your body, the flow of prana or chi? Prana flows everywhere in the body. It helps you to digest. It helps you to feel grounded and awake. Notice how the energy is flowing in your body. And if you don't have a sense of it, just see if you can visualize your circulation. So the circulation of your blood throughout your system. And imagine there are lines of energy that sort of map over your circulation. Imagine that those lines have a color to them, whichever color calls to you in this moment. And then imagine energy flowing along those colored lines, flowing through your fingers, your toes, your arms and legs, your pelvis and torso, your heart, your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, your arms, your neck and throat, your face and scalp, even your ears, energy flowing through your whole body. If you aren't able to visualize this, that's okay too. Maybe you can just drop down and notice what you feel. And with your next few breaths, if you've closed your eyes, gently flutter them open. Come back to this time and this space. This is an easy beginner's yin practice. It works especially on opening up the hips and the spine. If anything you feel is painful or uncomfortable, please adjust what you're doing. Follow your intuition and take care of your body. And if your intuition says that you should not do a posture, or if you feel an acute, sudden pain, please release the posture, come back into child's pose, or come into Shavasana, out on your mat, and breathe deeply. Always take care of your body. The posture we're going to start with is butterfly. So bring the soles of your feet together. And your feet can be far apart. It can be more of far away from your body. It can be more of a diamond shape here. You can bring your feet in closer. You do want to be able to let go of your inner thigh muscles. So if you find that you're gripping, lifting the knees up, and you can't let go of these muscles, you might consider using some blocks or some rolled up beach towels placed under your lower thighs and knees to hold your legs there. We're going to be in this pose for approximately 3 minutes, just breathing deeply. Yin is done either in silence, or if you choose, you can always play music in the background for yourself if that will help you to relax and release. The reason it's done in silence is to help you turn inward and really pay attention to what's going on inside your body. If you can do that, if you need the music as a focus to turn inward, then I encourage you to use it. If it is going to take you out of yourself and keep you from really focusing inward, I would recommend just sticking with the silence. Excuse me. I am having some bad allergies today. So inhale and lengthen. Exhale, walk your hands out and fold over. You do not have to fold here. You can simply stay upright and allow your eyes to close. But if you need more sensation or you want to go deeper, then just fold here. Let your forearms or hands rest on your mat or the floor. You can let your head hang heavy. Or you can do some gentle neck rolls, rolling your right ear towards your right shoulder, through the middle, left ear to your left shoulder, through the middle, just gently waving your head side to side. Stay with your breath. Just a few more neck rolls here. Make sure you've done about the same number toward each shoulder. And then let your head hang heavy. Remember, you don't have to stay down. If it becomes a little too sensational, press into your hands and slowly come back up. There's no need to stay here if you are not comfortable and if you're not feeling a release. If you are feeling a release and you want to go deeper, you can always fold a little deeper. You can remove the blocks if your legs eventually release. Just notice where your breath has gone here. Continue releasing. Release more with each exhale. Just a few more breaths here. With your next inhale, press into your hands. Walk your hands in towards your legs, coming upright. Bring your hands underneath your knees. Gently bring your knees together. Move your blocks out of the way. Take your hands back behind you and gently rock your legs side to side. You can take your knees all the way over if you want to, or you can just do up here without taking them all the way down. This is just to create some internal rotation to balance out that extreme external rotation we were doing in butterfly pose. When you feel like your lower back and your legs have released, bring your legs to stillness. We're going to come to straddle position. You've probably seen this before in your vinyasa practices or a hatha yoga class. It's called a wide-legged forward fold. In yin, we call this straddle. So take your legs out nice and wide. Maybe not as wide as they will go. You don't want this to be too extreme for your body. You do want it to feel good, and you are going to be here for 3 to 5 minutes. If you have a tendency to lock the backs of your knees out, to hyperextend your knees, do keep your toes flexed up towards your head and your toes in line with your heels. Another way to help this is to take maybe a washcloth and gently put it underneath your knees here. So you can also do it with a blanket if that's what you have handy. You just want to make sure you're not pressing the back of the knee down into the ground. So we're going to do 3 different versions of straddle pose. So the first one, we're going to fold over the right leg. You can always use a bolster here to rest on, so have it nearby just in case you want it. Bring both hands on either side of your right leg. Inhale, lengthen, turn your sternum toward your second toe. Exhale and hinge over. So you can leave your hands down right next to you. If this is not comfortable, you can bring a bolster or a blanket on and lean down on that. You are going to be here for 3 minutes, so make sure this feels really good. The bolster is too much for me, so I'm going to see if a blanket would be more my style. You could also just use a block balanced on your leg for your head to rest on. Or you can just let your head hang on the end of your neck, drawing the back of your neck a little bit longer. Whatever is going to be the best version for you, that's the one you should do. Notice any thoughts or memories or feelings that are coming up for you as you're in this pose. This can feel like a very exposed pose with your legs wide open. Just notice what's happening for you. Don't run away from anything. Allow the thoughts to come. Notice them, and then allow them to float away as you exhale. Very gently begin to deepen your breath. Press into your hands. Walk your hands in toward you. Same thing on the left side. I would bring your block, bolster, or blanket with you if you use them. Inhale, lengthen both hands on either side of your left leg. Keep your toes flexed toward your head if you hyperextend. Aim your sternum toward your second toe and fold over. You might need the same arrangement on this leg. You might need a slightly different arrangement on this side. That's okay too. Humans don't use their bodies symmetrically, so it makes sense that you might need to adjust from side to side. Just notice what's happening while you're here. Come back to your thoughts, feelings, and memories that are coming up during this pose. Notice if it's different from your right side, or are they the same thoughts, memories, and emotions? There's no judgment, there's just observation. You find your mind wandering away from your thoughts, memories, and emotions. Your next inhale, bring your awareness back without any judgment, just gently refocusing. With your next inhale, press into your hands, slowly come up. Walk your hands in. And the next one we're going to do is full straddle, folding down into the middle. You may want your block or bolster nearby. Keep flexing your feet up toward your head, your toes rather. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, and fold. You're aiming your sitting bones behind you rather than down toward the ground, so you're going to allow your pelvis to float and fold forward. This is another place where a block or bolster can be useful. Give support to your head and neck, or support to your chest and belly. Notice where you're feeling the sensations in both legs, right and left. And notice whether folding in the middle has changed the texture, tenor of your thoughts, your memories, or your emotions as you stay in this pose for a few minutes. If you do have a block underneath your forehead and you'd like to gently rock side to side, gently massaging your third eye, that's a nice thing to do while you're here. It can feel really good. The muscles in your forehead do a lot of work in your expression, so giving them a little massage is always a nice idea. When you feel like you've gotten enough of a massage, just gently slow down the rocking until eventually you come to stillness. Stay with your breath. Stay with your thoughts, memories, and emotions, continuing to observe what is coming up for you. With your next inhale, gently press into your hands. Walk your hands in toward you. Take anything that's in the way out of the way. Bring your knees in toward you. Just do a couple of windshield wipers. Then we're going to take child's pose for 1 minute to release our lower backs and let the legs relax. So child's pose can be done with your knees together, like so, toes touching, knees together, or with your toes touching and your knees apart. I'm going to be doing mine with my knees together. That's what I need this morning. It's going to open up my lower back a little bit more. Knees apart, opens your hips up a little bit more. I'm going to use a block for my forehead because my forehead does not quite come all the way down to the mat. And just release here for 1 minute. Whichever version of child's pose you've chosen. You can let your arms go up over you, over your head, or you can let them drape around your legs and let your shoulders find a release. Very slowly press into your hands. Walk them in towards your knees. And take your bottom to the side. Shake your legs out. The next two poses are for opening up the lower back. Sphinx and then seal. We'll do them back to back and then release into child's pose. If at any time you feel any sharp pain in your sacrum or any twinging in your lower back, please come back into child's pose, knees together or knees apart, and release Sphinx and seal. If you are pregnant, I highly recommend using a rolled up blanket or a bolster underneath your hip bones. Otherwise, it's not really going to do any harm. You can adjust the pressure also with how far apart your feet are. So to come into Sphinx, I'm going to move everything out of your way and come to lying down on your belly. Let your toes touch, let your heels open out, and gently rock your bottom side to side. Just get an idea of what's going on in your lower back. Bring your hands around the outsides of your elbows to get your spacing correct. And then walk your elbows in until you've come up into this sort of back bendy position. Straighten your legs out. Press the tops of your feet down. You can open your hands up, or you can leave your hands together, interlacing the fingers. One pinky is folded inside the other, so I'm not crushing the pinky. You can walk your elbows in a little closer if you like to come into a little higher Sphinx. Breathe deeply here. We're going to be here for 2 minutes. We're not going to do 3 minutes in Sphinx because that can be a little bit much. You can reach your head up. You can let your head fall back. You can let your head fall forward and do some gentle neck rolls. Just as you move your head, you'll notice that it does change what you feel in your lower back. So make sure it feels good, whatever you're doing. And breathe deeply into what you find. You'll notice that you can feel your breath a little bit more as you inhale. Your belly and lower abdomen press into the mat, and as you exhale, they float away from the mat. Notice this gentle rhythm. Notice whether or not it feels grounding for you. Continue with your breath. About 3 more breaths here. Now we're going to inhale to Sphinx. You may want your blanket or bolster close by. I'm going to be using a bolster underneath my hips. Bring your hands so they're about shoulder width or just wider than shoulder width apart. Press into your hands to come up to seal. You can take your legs further apart if you like. You're going to use the bolster. Bring it so it's right underneath your hip points. That takes some pressure off the lower back. And you can let your shoulders kind of slump if keeping them up like this is not comfortable for you. I noticed that letting my shoulders slump does bring a little more sensation into my sacrum, so I'm not sure that I want to do that. I'm going to keep my arms active just because that's what feels better to me. You can gaze forward. You can let your throat open up for a nice throat stretch and relaxing of the back of your neck, or you can just let your head fall forward, completely releasing. We're going to be here for 2 minutes, so make sure you've chosen a configuration that you like. And you can let go of your glutes. They don't need to be tightened for this. Just see if you can let them go. This can be quite intense. If the intensity builds to a point that doesn't feel good for you, there's a lot of pressure in your lower back or right around your sacrum because your sacrum is tight, then just shift back to child's pose when you feel ready. You don't have to wait for me to cue it. This should be something that feels good for you. Got about half a minute or so left here in seal. You may notice your arms getting tired. That's normal. Let your shoulders slump if you need to. Check in on your glutes, make sure they're relaxed. If you have a bolster, bend your knees slowly, slide the bolster out of your way. Come all the way down to your belly. Bring your hands, stack them one on top of the other. You can place your forehead on your hands. You can place a cheek down instead. Bring the toes, big toes to touch, and let your heels open out. And gently wiggle your bottom side to side. This just releases the sacrum a little bit. It's a nice massage from the inside out. And then we're going to gently press into your hands, bend your knees, and take yourself back to child's pose for 1 minute. And again, you may want a block or a bolster for your forehead to release on. You can leave your hands up above you, let them drape behind you. Knees can be together or apart, although I do recommend that you let them come together so that your lower back can release. Take your breath deep into your lower back, opening up that space that we just worked. And check in on your arms. Are they releasing completely or are they still holding on to tension? Check in on your shoulders especially. Let them melt. Last few breaths here in child's pose. Continue to release. And gently press into your hands. Come all the way up. Take the block out of the way. Take your bottom to the side and shake your legs out a little bit. You might need a drink of water. I know I do. And gently reach for your water. Take a nice sip. So we're going to work in shoelace pose for a little more hip opening. I'm going to face you so you can see what I'm doing. There are lots of options here. So we're going to do half shoelace. So you're going to take your right leg out straight, bring your left knee in, bend your left knee, and take your left foot on the outside of your right leg, and then bring your left foot up towards your hip. So you've got your knee over your other knee. If this is not comfortable, if you're feeling tightness in your knee itself, bring a blanket and put it between your knee and your other knee. If instead you're feeling it in your inner thigh, you want to bring the blanket or the bolster between your chest and your leg before we fold over. So make sure you've got the props that you need. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, walk your hands forward and gently fold over your left leg. We're going to be here for about 2 minutes. You can let your head be heavy and just drop towards your chest, or you can keep it in line with your spine and gaze out past your right toes. Three more breaths here. And inhale, press into your hands, come up. Unwind your left leg. Shake out both legs. Keep your left leg out straight. Bend your right knee. Take your right foot outside your left leg. And then you can bring your right foot back toward your left hip. So remember, tightness in the knee, blanket between your bottom leg and your folded leg. Tightness in your inner thigh, a blanket between your thigh and your torso. Flex your left foot, keep your knee from hyperextending, or place a washcloth under there. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. 2 minutes on this side. Let your head be heavy or keep it in line with your spine, whichever one works best for you. You can also do gentle neck roll side to side if you enjoy that. Just take it slow. Focus on your breath. Continue to deepen your breath. And let go of whatever you can let go of while you're here. Inhale, press into your hands. Slowly unwind. Unwind your leg. Take your hands back behind you and just rock your feet side to side. We're going to come onto the floor for the next part of class. You probably won't need any bolsters or blocks for this part, so you might want to move them out of the way. Take a drink of water before you get down there. Slowly roll down to come down to your mat. Bring your knees in towards your chest. We're going to open up to a happy baby. So your knees go wider than your torso. Flex your feet like you're going to walk on the ceiling. You can reach your middle finger and index finger and wrap around your big toe. You can hang on to the outsides of your feet. You can bring your hands back behind your knees. Any configuration that feels good for you. I'm going to hang on to my toes. That's the one I like the best. I feel like I have the most control there, and it makes sense for me. So from here, you can gently straighten one leg and hang out there for a few breaths. Bend your knee in, and then take your other leg out straight. I'm taking about 3 to 5 breaths while it's straight. Your breath will vary because you are a different person. You have a different lung capacity, different pace in your breath. And gently re-bend your knee. You can find a gentle pelvic tilt. So bring your belly button up towards your head, and then take your belly button away, pressing your sacrum down into the ground. Notice how that changes the stretch. Bring your belly button up towards your face. Keep your shoulders melting. And take your belly button away. Press your sacrum into the ground. I like doing pelvic tilts here in Happy Baby because I can feel really grounded as I press my sacrum down and draw my legs down toward me. It's a very grounding, earthy feeling. Keep tilting. Just a few more tilts. When you feel done with your tilts, allow your spine to come back to neutral position. And just hang out here for 1 more minute. About 5 more breaths here. Slowly release. Bring your knees into your chest. Hug them close. Release both feet down on the ground with your knees bent. Slide your left leg out long. We're coming to a reclining twist. Bring your left hand and gently use it to guide your right knee over. Your right knee may or may not touch the ground. You do want both shoulders on the ground while you're here in the twist. Breathe deeply. Let your shoulders melt a little bit more. While you're here, notice what's coming up for you. Is there something else you can let go of? Very slowly unwind. Take your right leg out long, bend your left knee. And gently take your twist to the other side. Again, both shoulders stay down on the mat. You can turn your head away from your legs. You'd be turning to look out over your left middle finger. Just make sure that it feels good. And notice the difference between the two sides. It's always different, one side to the other. About 1 more minute here, breathing deeply, noticing where you're feeling it. About 5 more breaths here. Very gently release back to center. Bend your right knee. Gently windshield wiper your legs side to side, just massaging out any tension that may have built up during the mind twists. And then bring yourself to your final resting pose. So that could be classic Shavasana with your legs out long, about mat width apart, arms alongside your body, shoulders rolled down and under, palms facing up. Or if your back is still feeling a little twingy after that sequence, you can bend your knees, place the soles of your feet down on the mat, let your knees collapse together while you heel toe your feet out almost as wide as your mat, just so you can let go of your knees. That allows your lower back to release a little bit more. It can feel really good. And we're just going to stay here for 5 to 6 minutes in silence. I will let you know when it's time to come out. You don't need to worry about that. Just allow yourself to melt. Allow yourself to absorb your practice as you breathe. And go back to the beginning of class during your opening meditation. Notice the change in the flow of prana or chi, energy, throughout your body. Allow your consciousness to rest on that energetic level, noticing the flow of energy throughout your system. You find your mind wandering away from this attention to the flow of your prana. With your next inhale, gently bring it back and refocus on your energy. You'll hear my voice again when it's time to come out. very gently begin to deepen your breath, coming back to this time and this space. You can stay where you are for the final part of class, or if you want to, you can take some gentle stretches and make your way up to an easy seated posture. Take your time getting here. There's no need to rush. You're coming up to a seat. Once you're here, make sure you're on your sitting bones, shoulders roll back and down. A comfortable, easy pose. Take a moment now and tune into your breath. Notice the pace of your breath. Is it different than when you started class? Notice what's happening in your mind. Are there thoughts, feelings, or memories crowding there? Or have they sort of evaporated? Or are they just different than the beginning of class? Again, there's no right or wrong, there's just observation. Bring your hands to your heart if you feel comfortable doing that. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. I am honored, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and that this practice helps you to stay centered with free-flowing energy and free-flowing breath. Thank you.